Howdy folks, Matt here with Gulf Coast Fit, and today we're going to do a micro session focusing on the abdominals. You could say this is a core micro session, and we are using much of the core, not your entire core, but we're using the abdominals, obliques, anterior and posterior obliques, the psoas region, your hip flexors, and your lower back. We're going to be implementing bicycle crunches, essentially to failure, doing bicycle crunches to failure. And the way we're going to structure that is we're going to do 2 repetitions. We'll ascend by 2 reps every round, starting with 2 repetitions. 1 repetition of the bicycle crunch is twisting back and forth. So that's 1. It's not 1, 2, 3, 4. It's back and forth is 1, back and forth, that's 2. We'll start with 2 reps. We've got some standards here. This is very important for this micro session and for every single micro session you do. We want to have standards that we adhere to. We want to have parameters and programming that we adhere to. That's really what makes the difference between going through the motions or getting the most out of something in a safe and sustainable manner. That's training optimally. That's training mindfully. So we will ascend by 2 repetitions per round, and between each round you get 3 breaths. That's a constant. You get 3 recovery breaths. Now this is where you have the opportunity to practice recovering as efficiently as possible. I like to assign breath allowances as recovery periods in a lot of my workout with clients or with these micro sessions. That way you're getting the added benefit of practicing the skill of recovery, practicing the skill of breathing, and making the most out of a very finite amount of time between sets. It keeps your workouts timely, and it gives you the effect that we're going for in this particular micro session. So we begin with 2 bicycle crunches. You take 3 breaths. Those 3 breaths are constant, and those 3 breaths will certainly not last the same duration from person to person. Some people may be able to make 3 breaths last 10, 15, 20 seconds. For some of us, initially, 3 breaths might only last 3 seconds. We don't want that to be the case, but it is what it is, and that's why this is an opportunity to practice your recovery breaths. Round 2, you'll go up to 4 bicycle crunches. You get the same 3 breaths. The next round, you'll go up to 6 bicycle crunches. We will ascend in repetitions. We will ascend in volume by 2 reps every single round with a constant 3 recovery breaths between each round. Now keep in mind, here's the kicker. As you accumulate more fatigue and a localized fatigue, we're really focusing on the midsection, so things are going to burn a lot. When we're isolating a certain part of your body, we build up a lot of lactic acid, things start to burn, things become pretty unpleasant. That's not the goal, that's just part of the journey. What I was saying is those 3 breaths will become harder and harder to adhere to, and they will inevitably become shorter and shorter in duration. But it's your goal to make those 3 breaths as diaphragmatic as possible, expand your belly, inflate, expand your ribs, let your body do the exhaling for you, let the air seep out. Try to count to 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 seconds on the inhale and on the exhale. See how long and deliberate you can make those breaths last, because they do get harder and harder. Initially, 3 breaths doesn't seem like it's necessary when you're only doing 2 or 4 or 6 or even 8 or 10 reps of bicycle crunches. But believe me, when you hit a wall or you hit your threshold where all of a sudden you're like, oh wow, that set was pretty hard, but you only get the 3 breaths still before you have to go into the next round where you add 2 more reps, it gets hard in a hurry. So the way you treat this and execute this in the easier rounds, 2, 4, 6, 8, maybe 10, it dictates how far you'll make it, because once you hit that wall, you hit it fast, you hit it hard, and that's where the challenge begins. That's where you want to see how much you can squeeze out, how much can you get through another half round or another full round. And that's another point. If you know you're not going to be able to make it through the next round, still take your 3 breaths and then see how far you can make it into the next round. Remember how far you made it. Write it down, track it down. I'm big on tracking because what gets measured gets managed. And that's a big difference between training and exercising. Training, you track what's going on, you have a game plan, you follow it step by step, and you deliberately move forward slowly but surely. So make sure you track what round you get through, even if it's a partial round on this bicycle crunch micro sessions and on all of your micro sessions. So I'm gonna stop stalling and here we go. This is the first time doing this for me, so we'll see where I get. And I'm excited to see this is a micro session you can easily repeat multiple times a week. After today, I'll set a goal and see what I can handle. Make sure that you are still turned on. And I'm gonna put another piece of tree bark on you for stability. My tripod is a bunch of tree bark today because tripods are a little too fancy sometimes. We're all about being resourceful, right? All right, here we go. Taking 3 breaths to prep mentally. And that's 2 reps. Notice how my fingertips are on my ears, elbows out wide. That's 4 reps. Notice how I'm touching my elbows to my knees. If you can't do that, that's fine, but that's your mindset. That's 6 reps. You know, I'm talking through my recovery. That's kind of shooting myself in the foot. Notice how I extend my legs fully. That's very important. Don't cut it short, extend fully. Here goes 8. There's 8. This is already getting tough for me. We accumulate a lot of reps. Notice how I'm twisting slowly and pausing each time. Pause as long as you can. This is 10. There's 10. This is getting tough already. Doesn't help that I'm talking through my breaths, but I'm only taking about as much time as it would take me to do 3 breaths, which for me is about 15 seconds. Notice how scapulas are off the ground. Here goes 12. It's getting very tough. Also, be very deliberate about breathing throughout your set. Every single rep, long, steady breaths as much as you're capable of. Makes all the difference in the world. Coming up on 14. I might start to speed it up a little bit now. Yeah, I'm gonna speed it up. Oh, it's a deep burn. I don't even know if I'm gonna make it through 16. One more breath. Now I'm really gonna speed it up without getting out of control. Keep breathing. Still straightening my legs out. Still keeping elbows to knees. Do one extra because I lost count. Ooh. Ooh. Breathe into your belly. Expand, inflate, stretch with your breath. I may or may not make it through 18. We'll see. There we go. Going fast. Start slow and then speed it up. Oh, I'm gonna do an abdominal stretch directly after this challenge. I would recommend going into an abdominal stretch. There's different ones you can do. Right now, just doing a little back bend, elbows underneath my shoulders. You can call this cobra pose. You find that different yoga postures can really help with recovery between sets, inter or intra workout. So using yoga, different postures and positions to stretch and lengthen where you need to based on what your workout's gonna be, or it is, or it has been, makes all the difference. Right now my abs are still on fire. So a couple of key points there. Again, let's run through our standards. Straighten your legs out all the way on each rep when you're bicycling. Fingertips on your ears, as long as they're not behind your head. Don't clasp your hands behind your head. Don't pull on your neck. You're essentially cheating and pulling yourself up. Plus, it's hard on your neck. Also, I didn't mention, move your head with your entire torso. Your spine moves as one unit. Shoulder blades up off the ground. When you roll to one side, that shoulder blade might come to the ground, but make sure your other shoulder blade is up as high as possible. Really helps to push your belly button down into your spine down into the ground. Help keep your abdominals engaged and reduce stress on your lower back. Make sure you're breathing throughout each and every set, and that the hardest part here and what makes this effective is adhering to the 3 recovery breaths between each set. So don't cheat yourself there. Don't take 4 or 5 breaths just so you can make it an extra round. You need to be honest and see where you can take it. That way when you repeat it, you follow those same standards and you see how much you can progress. If you don't do a lot of abdominal work, then this is going to get you pretty sore most likely. So I'll wait a few days before you repeat it, because if you go back the next day and try to do it, your abs are going to wear out even faster. I want to touch base on something real quick. I said this is a 6-pack challenge, and that's because we're working those 6-pack muscles, but don't let that confuse you. Remember always, we burn fat. If your goal is to get leaner, burn belly fat, whatever fat anywhere on your body, just burn fat in general, then building muscle is the key. Muscle is your metabolism, muscle is what burns fat. Doing an isolation exercise like this where I'm zapping my abdominals, it hurts a lot. It's very painful, it's very direct in my abdominals, it's very isolated, but you don't burn a lot of calories isolating one small body region, and you don't burn a lot of fat either. You also don't build a lot of muscle because you're not doing a big compound movement that's weight bearing, that you can load up with external resistance in a progressive manner. So when people ask me, hey Matt, what's the best core exercise? What are some core exercises I can do to shape up, to get my abs, to hit my abs, to burn some fat? They inevitably expect me to say some type of crunch or sit-up variation or direct core exercise, but the answer is the same for everyone. Big compound, multi-joints, multi-muscle, loadable exercises where you can progressively load more and more weight so you can build more strength and muscle, and that is what in turn burns fat and calories residually and all the time. So just remember that. What this is beneficial for is bringing up weak links. So let's say I want to improve my front squats, my deadlifts, my back squats, even sprinting, high intensity full body endeavors that are very stressful on my entire body, my entire self as an organism. Hitting my abdominals specifically, if they lack a work capacity or they lack the lactic acid capability that I need to do that set of front squats or deadlifts or what have you, then I can bring up a weak link if my abdominals are such. It allows me to turn around and do those big, more productive lifts more effectively and safer. So bringing up weak links like your abdominals, if that's the case, the benefit there is to turn around and do the bigger multi-joint, multi-muscle group, higher resistance exercises safer and more effectively. So just keep that in mind. This is supplemental to your lifting. My abs are still burning, but it feels good that I've been down here in Cobra. So make sure you back it up with some stretching Make sure you really prioritize your breath during sets and in between sets. You only get 3, stick to that, be honest with it, and give it a go. Let's see where you get. I got part of the way through 18. I think I got 15 reps into my round of 18, so my goal next time is simply gonna be to complete the round of 18, see if I can chip away at the round of 20. Peace.